Hey guys, it's Shamsa and welcome back to my little kitchen. Today's video is a highly requested one and we are just going to get straight in. So a lot of you have asked me what the bhunning process is. So today's video is all about bhunning. So bhunning, bhunao, bhunification, bhunna is the same sort of like process, but people in different parts of the world use these kind of words to refer to the process. And the process is a three-step process. And you've heard me use this in my videos a lot. And it's basically a combination of frying and sauteing base ingredients like onions, tomatoes, ginger garlic, spices in oil. So the oil can be vegetable oil, it could be seed oil, it could be clarified butter or ghee, and you are frying these ingredients on a medium to high heat setting and taking some time, anything between 10 to 15 minutes of bhunning to slowly and gradually bring out the moisture from these ingredients and allowing them to caramelize and develop in flavour. And at the same time, what's going to happen is once these onions start to cook down, the tomatoes, the spices, you get rid of the rawness, the oil will start to separate, and that is tip number 2. So the first one is medium to high heat setting and gradually cooking the onions, tomatoes, spices in oil or fat of your choice. And then the second step is to allow the oil to separate and come to the surface and around the edges. So that's 2. The third step that we're looking for and in the bhunning process is the second stage of the bhunning. So that's when the masala, the base gravy, is ready and the oil is separated, and then you can add your meat or your protein or your vegetables in there. Things like lentils, they don't really require bhunning. Grains don't require bhunning. It's just sort of like solid vegetables and meat and proteins. So once you add them in, they then will release their own moisture and you will then start the second stage of the bhunning. So the first is the onions, and then the second stage is when you add your meat, protein and vegetables in there. And again, what you're going to do is you're going to cook them on a medium to high heat setting, allow the moisture from the vegetables to cook down completely. And the third step that we're looking for whilst we're doing this third bhunning, the second step of the bhunning, the third step in the process is the colour changing. The colour will deepen, the curry will deepen in colour. So the masala and the vegetables or the meat and the proteins will cook and take on a really nice dark deep colour, and that again indicates a good bhunning process. Now once you've done that, you can obviously finish the dish off. If you want to add water into that to make it a slightly runnier curry, you can do. If you want to just finish it off, you can add like your finishing off spices in there, which is garam masala or dried fenugreek leaves like I normally do, and that's it. And when you go to restaurants and you see a bhunna on the menu, it is referring to the process rather than the dish. So I hope I've explained this well for you guys to understand. We're now going to move into the kitchen, where I'm going to show you a step-by-step process. And I really hope this video helps. If you want to watch more videos like this, drop me a message in the comments below. And these are ancient techniques used by our mums, our grandmas, generations before that. And again, these help to elevate your curries. They bring out more flavour. There's more depth in there because everything is cooked properly. Yes, they do take time, but again, if you want to eat amazing food, then you're going to have to just take the time out to follow these steps, and implement them in your sort of like day-to-day curries. So now we're going to move into the kitchen and I'm going to show you exactly how to do the bhunning process, and make sure you hit the subscribe button, turn your bell notifications on, and I'll meet you at the other end. Right, okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our pot, and I've got it on my hob and my heat setting is currently on 7. It's been heating away for approximately a minute, so it's nice and hot to the touch. And I'm going to go in first of all with some oil. I've used 1/4 of a cup of oil, which is 60 millilitres, and this is 6 tablespoons worth of oil. So just let that heat up. And now that the oil's nice and hot, I'm going to go in with my onion. I've just used one medium onion, which I've just sliced thinly, and this weighs approximately 200 grams in weight. And we're going to fry the onions for about 6 minutes on heat setting 7, and I'll show you how they look once they're done. Right, okay, so it's been around 6 minutes that the onions have been frying away, and into this now I'm going to add my tomatoes, my ginger and garlic. I've lowered my heat setting down to a 6 because it was just steaming over, and I've got some spices here now. I've got 1.5 teaspoons of salt, coriander powder, and degi mirch, which is the Kashmiri chili powder. Adds a really nice flavour and colour, but not the heat. Then I've got 1/2 teaspoon of regular chili powder and turmeric powder. I'm just going to throw that in. I'm just going to add a little bit of water into this, just to help it sort of like loosen up a little bit, and also at the same time it's going to allow the onions and the tomatoes to soften up as well. So I've got my heat setting on 6, and it will remain on 6 for now. And what we're going to do is we're going to pop the lid on, and we're going to allow this to cook away now for approximately 6 to 8 minutes. Give it the odd occasional stir, and in 8 minutes time I'll show you how it looks, and then we'll start the punning process. Right, okay guys, so it's been around 8 minutes that the base ingredients have been cooking away. I've just reduced my heat setting down to 1 because once I take the lid off, the camera steams over, but I'm just going to remove it now to show you. So as you can see, the onions and the tomatoes have cooked down really nicely. They've softened up. The oil has started to separate and come to the surface and around the edges, but now we are starting the first bunning process. And in order to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my heat setting up to a 6. But before I do that, what I'd like to do is I take boiled kettle water in my jug here, and I'm going to add a small amount in, like that. So that will do 2 things. It will calm the steam down so the camera doesn't steam over, so you guys can see. And the other thing is it will allow this to cook further. And now I'm going to put my heat setting up to a 7, which is a medium high heat setting for my hob. And I'm going to just continue to cook this now for 10 to 15 minutes, like I stated earlier. And we're going to allow the water that we've just added in to basically dry out, and just keep stirring it and just let it dry out. And I'll add small amounts of water in within that 15-minute period. And I'm using boiled kettle water, which is again another top tip, because everything stays at the same temperature. If you add cold water in, then it obviously takes a lot longer for it to come up to temperature. So just have your kettle boiled before you start cooking. And I will see you guys back in around 15 minutes time. Right, okay, so it's been exactly 15 minutes that I've been bunning the base ingredients, and you can see that the oil has started to separate around the edges and the surface. So now what I'm going to do, I've got here 1/2 kg, which is 500 grams of boneless chicken breast cut into medium pieces. I'm just going to add that in. And just for reference, I've actually reduced my heat setting down to 1 again, because again we have the obvious problem with the camera steaming over. And I'm going to turn my heat setting up now to a 6, and I've got here 1/2 cup of boiled kettle water, which I'm going to add in, and we're just going to give that a mix. And if you don't add the water in, chances are the chicken tends to catch at the bottom. So again, just adding a little bit of water in just helps. So just let that come up to temperature, and I'm just going to put the lid on. And now I'm going to allow this to cook away for 10 minutes, and I'm not going to do anything to this now. It's just going to cook away. So within that 10 minutes, the chicken is going to release its own moisture, and we're going to sort of like give the odd occasional stir in between. But other than that, we're not going to do anything. And I'll show you how it looks in 10 minutes time. And then we're going to start the second stage of the bunning process. So I'll catch you guys back in 10 minutes time. Right, okay guys, so it's been 10 minutes that the chicken has been cooking away. I'm just going to remove the lid to show you. And you can see there's still a lot of water in there that we added. And now what we're going to do is we're going to cook this out completely. So I'm going to turn my heat setting up from a 6 to a 7, which is slightly higher. And because I have a ceramic hob, obviously it heats up a lot quicker. So I don't want to use full power setting on here. So 7 is like a medium high for my hob. And I'm going to cook this now, just continuously keep stirring it and start the second stage of the bhunning process, which is the bhunning of the meat and the masala together. So any of the onions that you saw earlier that hadn't broken down will break down now, because we're going to cook this, and we're going to do this for the next 10 minutes. And I've also got my jug here to hand with boiled kettle water in there. So once the water completely evaporates inside, we're going to add a little bit more, and we're just going to continue doing this. And then after 10 minutes, I'll show you how this looks. During that 10-minute process, the masala is going to break down. The curry will sort of like deepen and darken in colour, and the flavours will develop. So I'll catch you guys back in 10 minutes time. Right, okay, so it's been 10 minutes I've been bhunning this, and the masala has thickened up really nicely. All those onions that were visible have broken down now to create this really nice thick curry base, and the oil has also started to separate and come around the edges. Now what I do, and this is not something that you need to do, but you can eat this straight away, just finish it off with a bit of garam masala, but what I like to do is add a little bit of water into this, just like that, right at the end, and just give that a mix. And what that does is that sort of like creates a looser sort of like curry. And all we're going to do now is we're going to throw in garam masala, which is 1 teaspoon. I've also got 1 teaspoon of dried fenugreek leaves, which I'm just going to crush between the palms of my hands, like that. Just give that a mix. And then I'm going to take some fresh coriander and just throw that right on top like that. And there we have it, guys. My chicken bhuna. Really simple, really easy, showing you how to use the bhunning process at home to make your curries go from a 1 to 10 on the scale. I hope you've enjoyed watching this. Please subscribe for more recipes, and I'll catch you soon with another one. Till then, take care and happy eating.